Everyone say goodbye to the fallen lipstick. Meh. Wee, 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 wee. Hello darlings, and welcome back to my channel and to today's video, which is going to be another rambly sort of video. Now, if you were following my channel last year, you may have already seen my video that I did where I talk all about my vintage style. So I tell you why I got into it and the kind of clothes shops that I buy my things from, and basically a load of questions kind of about me personally. And today I wanted to do a video that is still focused on style but is a bit more general, and I wanted to do a video about finding your own vintage style and how to kind of go about that. And this isn't so much a perfect kind of 10-step guide as it is just general encouragement, and also just giving you the freedom to let loose and to know that everything is okay. I know that when you're first entering the vintage kind of world and community and deciding that this is a style that you would like to do, it can seem a bit intimidating. I know that it can seem a little bit like you have to be 100% a certain way in order to be accepted into the vintage community, but I'm here to tell you that everyone has their own vintage kind of style journey. Everyone has their own look, and that's the fun about vintage or vintage inspired clothing. It's that you can mess around and that you can play with all of these different eras, and it's totally okay, and it's totally like everyone will love it. There will be someone that loves it, and sometimes you have to remember that the most important someone that loves your style should be you. You should always love what you wear, and you should enjoy kind of experimenting. So I'm going to break down like some ideas of how to start your vintage kind of journey, and we're going to go from there. Okay, so you're thinking of starting to experiment a little bit with vintage style. Maybe you've seen it on social media, maybe you've seen it in an old movie or a magazine, or maybe you've seen an inspired kind of picture and you want to test it out. So the first and the most important thing that you should do is that you should research. So go online, go into libraries and go crazy. So I want you to look at the styles that you like and figure out what it is specifically that you like about them. Is it the colours? Is it the shape? Is it the fit or the length, or maybe because it evokes a certain feeling? So go crazy and go really in depth and really think about what it is that you want. Maybe you want a very overstated kind of glamorous look, so something more like the more frothy stereotypical 1950s styles you might like, or maybe you want something that's a bit more understated and modest, so something like the 1930s. Maybe you want to look, you know, youthful and rebellious and fun and carefree, so you might like the kind of mod era of the mid to late 60s, or maybe you really liked a very bohemian style, so the 70s, or a very punky, experimental, edgy style, so you like the 80s. So look at what specifically you like, and also I would say look at all of the eras as a whole. Like look at the kind of trends, the colours, the shapes, the general mood, and then you can decide what you want to do with all of this information that you have. Then you can start looking for clothes. So I would say to probably start small if you are not entirely sure that this is a style that you will like. Cheaper clothing sites like Lindy Bop, or even just going on Etsy and finding like little random things, or looking in shops for the general silhouette and length and colours that you want. Just start to slowly build things in, and think also about, this is another point, the authenticity. So this is quite a hot topic. I know that there are lots of vintage people who like to look very, very, very authentic. So they like to wear exclusively vintage clothing. They like to adhere completely to the rules per se of what was the standard of the time that they're going for. And I think that can be part of what's so overwhelming for newcomers into the vintage style, is they feel like they have to be completely authentic. And I'm here to tell you that obviously you don't. You don't have to be 100% era specific and era authentic. I mix styles from the 1940s and the 1950s, and I go way overboard. Like, people who, if I was transported back to that time frame, I would probably look ostentatious even for then in most of my kind of everyday outfits, because that's the fun of it for me, is the colours and the patterns and the big dresses. So you don't have to look completely authentic. If you want to take elements that you see from certain eras, so maybe you really like the, what's good? Do you mind? Maybe you really like the very long duster jackets and the shoes of the 1920s, let's say, but you really, really love the look of the really short, sassy baby doll shift dresses from the 1960s. Why not put them together? That's the great thing about vintage, is because of the era that we live in today, we have free access to all of these eras from the past. And I always just use the 20s as my stopping off point, but remember, history and style didn't start in the 1920s. Like, you have Edwardian era, kind of 18th century vibe clothing that you can pick from, with the big ruffly shirts or the corset style belts or stuff like that. You can mix and match, and I think this is something that sometimes people are a bit afraid to do, because like I said, the whole authenticity thing, but at the end of the day, how you dress is up to you. And if it makes you happy to dress, you know, completely authentically, and to get a very specific haircut and to do the very specific styles, then that's amazing, and you should definitely do that. But also, if it makes you feel happier to wear like the big poofy dresses and then some like 50s dress and 1920s shoes, and then shave your head, you should do that. You should do that if it makes you happy. The most important thing is that you're not doing things because you think that you should. You're just doing them because it's what you like on you, and it makes you feel like yourself. And you don't have to stick to completely one style all the time. I know that once you have a few vintage pieces, it's easy to feel like you can get pigeonholed in, but just because you wear vintage sometimes doesn't mean that you have to wear it all the time. You can, you know, dress very steampunky and gothy one day. I know I just mixed two completely different styles. And then you can dress very frothy and 1950s the next day, and then you can go more of a 60s, and then more of a 90s, and then back to the 20s, and then just mix and match all sorts of things. You don't have to have one very specific look that you are never allowed to deviate from, and it's not a massive decision that you have to adhere to. I think it's like, you know, teen movies where you have like Cinturonians, like where you have the chavs and the goths and the emos and the bohemian girls and the posh totties and all that kind of thing, but you are not trapped into that today by any means. And you know, if people say, what even is like your fashion sense, then just say, it's just me, it's just what I like. You don't have to put a label on it. You don't have to limit yourself to anything in particular. You can go all over the place. If you really like the look of wearing a gorgeous 1940s skirt with a graphic t-shirt, then that's really cool, and you should definitely wear that, and send me pictures as well, because I really want to see. That sounds like a really cool outfit. If you want to have really brightly coloured hair and just pull things from different eras that like accent your hair colour, then that's really cool too. Just don't try and limit yourself. Don't try and stick yourself into a little box. Don't try and think, okay, if I'm going to be vintage, I will dress in clothes only from the year 1947, and I will do my hair a very specific way, and I will never deviate from this ever, because I've chosen this, and this is what I have to be, and this is what I have to do. Like, you don't have to do anything, really, other than, you know, eat and respire and sleep. You don't have to do anything, especially when it comes to fabrics and protein strands. You can do, be, and wear whatever you like, and whatever makes you feel happy, and whatever makes you feel more like yourself. And obviously don't forget that includes your style evolving and the things that you like changing, even if only like seasonally, but definitely over the years. Like, you'll notice that the way that you like to dress and the things that you like to wear will be different than maybe they were last year, or maybe they were last week. And that's the beauty of this little community, is we're all kind of oddballs, we're also kind of quirky, and I promise that you will be welcomed with open arms. And if you do something kind of fun and unconventional, then that's great, and we love you, and we want to see all the pictures. So I know that this hasn't been necessarily the most structured, or maybe even the most informative video. It's kind of just 10 minutes of me encouraging you to do whatever the hell you want, because I think a lot of people think there's a lot of rules with vintage. They're like, can I do this? Could I wear this? Could I pair this with this? And it's, yes, you can do whatever you like. There are no rules. I think however you want to accessorize yourself is amazing and valid and so much fun, and that you should experiment as much as you possibly can, because in the experimenting you'll find probably something that makes you feel really good. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget, if you have any recommendations of videos that you would like to see from me, then I'm very happy to take those. Leave them in the comments below. You can follow me on all of my social media. You can follow my Instagram at @AVeryVintageDarling. You can follow my Twitter at @VVintageDarling, and you can follow my blog that I haven't posted to for like 3 months, @VeryVintageDarling.wordpress.com. I love you all so very much, and I will see you in my next video. Au revoir! Okay, but my hair flower is white. Go away. My belt is white, the same as my hair flower, and my blouse is pink, and my skirt is red, and my eyeshadow is pink, and my lipstick is red, and I'm just really coordinated today, and it makes me really happy. Dee 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 dee.